Have y'all seen The Curious Case of Natalia Grace on Hulu? Well, I've seen it, so you don't have to. I'm just going to hit the highlighted parts so you can go check it out if it sparks your interest. It's about this little girl, supposedly a little girl who was 6 years old, and she was going to be adopted. She was born in Ukraine, and they reached out to this American family who was well-to-do, a mother, father, and 3 little boys. And they were ages like, the little boys were like 6, 9, and 11. So it was going to be a perfect situation because they had a 6-year-old, and the little Ukrainian girl, Natalia, was 6 years old. First red flag is they only had 24 hours to decide if they wanted to get this little girl. 24 hours to decide. Amazon gives you longer to return a package. The next red flag for me was the adopted, she was already previously adopted, and that adopted family decided return to sender. They didn't want her, so they were going to drop her off to the next adopted family. And when they dropped her off, they dropped her off. Nobody stayed to update these people. Nobody did a whole, let's have a meal, let's go to a theme park, let's ingratiate her slowly. Nope, drop, goodbye, peace. Well, it did not take long for them to find out something in the milk ain't clean. First bath, the new adopted mom goes to give Natalia a bath. Baby, bombshell. The new mama gives her a bath and finds out, oh, she got a head full of hair on her kukilaki, on her little sister, her pocketbook, her grown woman vajayjay, her little yoni box. From how they were talking, she had a full fro down there. And baby, right then I would have packed up all her ish, packed it all up, and met them back on I-4, I-95, 75, wherever them people were who dropped her off. I would have put her right back in that car, return to sender, return. So after they saw this whole situation going to the left, they decided, okay, it is what it is. You know, maybe she's developed really early, really soon. We're going to press pause and regroup, and it's all good. But then other things started to happen, and this little girl started acting like she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Parents say that she started acting like, oh, you know, has anger issues. She wants to kill them. She's standing in the bedroom acting like she's going to try to stab them and do all the crazy kind of things. Just saying that, you know, telling them, I want to kill you. I don't like you. This is months down the road, but very, very strange. Right from the go, they say that she's just acting crazy the whole time. So now these people were kind of concerned, like, something is going wrong. Let's find out who, you know, what was going on with her previous adoption parents and what's going on. We need to know the full disclosure, full real deal Holyfield. So the Barnetts, the current parents, call up the adoption agency and like, what's the 411? Tell us what's going on with this little girl, and we need to talk to the previous parents, something like that. But the adoption agency tells them it is a closed adoption. You bought her. It's your baby now. We can't help you. Don't call back. So after calling and being told that it's a closed adoption and they can't help, finally, one of the agents at the adoption agency said, well, you ain't heard it from me, but check her luggage. Her luggage might have some information in there, perhaps some luggage tags or information written down in there telling you about who her people used to be. Lo and behold, the new parents, the Barnetts, they do just that. They check her luggage, they check her backpack, all the things. They check to see if there is any type of identifying markers or information that they can find out who were these people that did this closed adoption, that adopted her first or had her last, and see if we can contact them. And they did find a tag. Luggage tag. They found one in her backpack, and bingo, So not only did this luggage tag have her previous people on it, it had some information that led them to her actual parent in Ukraine. So they had an investigator in 2020 go to Ukraine and try to find out about what's going on. See if he can dig up her family members. And digging he did. The investigator finds the auntie. There's an auntie there, and she happens to be the identical sister of the bio mom. So the biological mom's identical twin sister is the one who spoke to the investigator. This biological auntie says how her niece was thrown out like trash and stuff. So she's bringing him up to date. And then the investigator says, can you call your sister, which is the bio mom? She's like, sure. She gets a cell phone. She calls her up. Now the investigator is telling Anna, the mom, calm down, calm down. We just want to question you. We just want to ask you some questions. And Anna went slap off, continuing to curse him out, telling him, y'all have been looking for me for over 17 years. 17 years? Now, remember, Natalia is only supposed to be 6 years old. So how they been looking for you for 17 years, man? Now, I'm no math genius, but math equals the same math in whatever language. Math is a multilingual language. So math is math. 2 plus 2 in English is 2 plus 2 in Spanish is 2 plus 2 in Ukraine. A little backstory, parents. I used to take this little girl to the Little People's Conference or conventions. They were trying to give her away to other families. They wanted to see if somebody wanted to adopt her from them or make a trade or something like that. One family ended up getting her and they kept her for about 4 months. But when the family said, okay, well, if y'all like her, then y'all buy her, then give us 30 grand, the people were like, nope, here you go. And Natalia had to come back and live with the first original adopted family. They kept shopping around, met another lady she was an actual little person, and she was very interested in adopting Natalia. She feels like Natalia was her spirit baby and that she really wanted to adopt her. But she was married and her husband said, nope. So there was another couple who came riding up on scooters. They were little people too. And they were interested in adopting the little girl, but then they said they were hit with, will you pay for her medical expenses? She had just had surgeries on both of her feet, and the current parents were saying, we need you to pay for this surgery that she just had. And that new couple was like, hold up, we don't even know y'all like that. We don't know her, and we dang sure don't know y'all. Their attitude was like, we know we're buying her as is, but we ain't paying for nothing that she already had. So they said, it was very, very weird, and that it reminded them of a very pushy used car salesman. So they ended up telling them, we ain't paying for nothing we ain't break. And after discussing that for a while and telling them absolutely not, the people finally left them alone about that part. Then they said that they did ask, they started thinking about it. Is she a little bit loco in the cabeza? They said, well, we want to see about getting her an evaluation done. They wanted to just know if there were any mental issues because they figured she had lived in an orphanage for so many years, and they wanted to know if there was any emotional damage, and if so, what they were getting themselves into. Where the current mom said, absolutely not. No evaluations going on over here. And they were a little bit discouraged at that, but it still didn't stop them from going to see them. Now, this couple lived in Texas, so they had to drive over and see this girl, and she currently lived in New Hampshire. But when they got there, they soon found out this ain't Texas. So they ended up going to this house. And when they showed this house, it looked like something out of the movie What Lies Beneath. Sleepaway camp. House by the lake, if you will. That would have been enough for me to throw up the peace sign then. thank you, but no thank you. But they went on. They got there, they met her, they thought that she was very cute. Well, the husband of this couple said that he has the gift of discernment. Christian and his Christian vibes were not settling good with this whole situation. He said, this is not a good fit. He also said that he could tell that the current mom and the little girl were lying when they were, and you could tell she had been coached, but every now and then she would say something that she wasn't coached on. And it was during those times that he especially knew that she was lying. Then they even asked her about a time when she was living in the orphanage and she went off on a tangent about how it sucked and it was this and it was that. And they thought, But the current mom tried to cover it up, saying, oh, it wasn't that bad, and she's just exaggerating. How you know? Were you there, ma'am? That man said he knew right then and there it was definitely a no for them, and they were getting the heck up out of there. Now, mind you, both of them stacked on top of each other, wasn't 5'5", so yeah, it was good reason for them to get out of there. All of these different tests and talk to doctors. They say they were advised by the police officers to have her re-aged. Now, I was thinking when I heard this re-aged, what is that? What type of sorcery is re-aging? The judge sided with them and re-aged this girl. Now, mind you, she was 6 when they got her, and then 8 going on 9 when the judge approved re-aging her. So she went from the age of 8 years old to 22 years old in a matter of seconds. What? I'm thinking, how is that even possible? How is that legal? How is that, They ended up redoing her birth certificate and issuing her a state ID. They changed her date of birth from 2003 to 1989. She went from being a Gen Z to a Gen Y. Just like that. And then you'll never believe what they did. Immediately after that, the adoptive parents, went out and got her an apartment. Loaded it up with furniture, grocery, and threw up the deuces. I mean, her name was on her lease, along with her mom's, her adoptive mom, but name on the lease and everything. Now enters Natalia's neighbors. They start out seeming kind of nice, the way Karens do. They were so concerned, and at first they thought it was a little girl from behind, her being so short in stature, so tiny. But they soon found out that through conversations with her, oh yeah, this is a full-grown woman. There was a neighbor who was across the street, said he was out meddling around with his car and his grandson was on this little play bicycle. She came over and got on one of the little play tricycles too and pedaled, and they showed video of this now. She's out there pedaling with him. He was 4. He thought she was 5 or 6 until they started talking and was like, oh, she's a full-grown adult. And she told him, yes, I'm 22, 23, something like that. Another neighbor was saying how she helped this girl from time to time, taking her to the grocery store and things like that. And she peeped this, that a couple times when she went to the grocery store with them, that the little girl was on, or the grown lady, Natalia, was on food stamps. The neighbor said, why is she on food stamps when her father drives a Corvette and her mother drives a Cadillac? And when she made that point, I thought to myself, okay, Ann, that's their money. Now, don't get Natalia's money mixed up with Natalia's mama money. But a few more of the neighbors, they were all saying the same thing, how she was nice in the beginning, but then they learned how, or saw how she was so dirty. She never washed her hair. She would always be wearing the same clothes. And they were wondering if she had any food because she would always come over. They were in a community where they never locked their doors. Natalia would just walk in unannounced, not locking up the doors. She would just walk in, go straight for the and try to eat. She would be watching them through the blinds, and as soon as they got home, she would come out and greet them, wouldn't give them a chance to even get off from work and decompress, de-stress or nothing. She was right over there like, and what? The front office lady at the leasing office said how she knows Talia was probably lonely because she would come up to the clubhouse and sit there all day and eat candy and just bop around. And she knew that she was very, very lonely, but she was becoming a problem to all the other tenants because she wouldn't give them a chance to even get out their cars before she was wrapped around their legs, almost literally trying to see what they were getting into for the evening. Fast forward that, they called, reported the parents saying that this little girl is not being taken care of, all the things. Well, they went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Finally, a judge ruled that DCS has no place with the parents because of the fact that there's nothing that, oh, let me back up for a minute. The same social worker who had been helping the little girl when she was technically 6, 7, and 8 was the one who they assigned the case to. So when she came back out there to help Natalia, who she was thinking is now 8 or almost 9 or at 9, found out she was 22 or 23. Yeah, how she had aged in just a span of a year. So last time she saw this little girl was 9 at best. Now she's 23. Mind blowing. The neighbors ended up turning on this little girl, saying how they didn't like her, mainly because she became the nuisance. And then the leasing office told her, hey, you got to cut it out. And so when she turned her attention from the food and their snacks and them, she turned her attention to the little boys in the neighborhood. So now all the little 8, 9, 10-year-old boys she was looking for. So it was hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your sons. She was not interested in any of the daughters. She wanted to hang out with the little boys. They'd be out at the bus stop. She was hanging out. They'd be out playing basketball. She was hanging out. They'd be out riding bikes. She was hanging out. If they were shooting marbles, she was hanging out. And that's when the community really got serious and said, this pedophile wannabe gots to go. But Natalia caught wind of it and heard that they was trying to pull her out. So she called 911 and told them, I'm about to kill up everybody. I'm mad. And they said, who is it? She said, Natalia Burnett. Gave them the first and last name. Who wanted it? Who wanted with lean? But seriously, she told the 911 operator, I'm about to kill my neighbor. I'm planning to kill my neighbors. So she's a planner. That's one bright side. So when Natalia's lease was up, her leasing office said, no go. You got to go. We're not renewing your lease. So then her adopted parents, the Barnetts, said, we're moving her far across town. They moved her to Lafayette or Fayetteville or something. But the mom, the adopted mom, Christine, had mapped out a place that she said was white trash. Nobody would care. Nobody would be looking for her. Nobody would be wondering why she's taking the trash out by herself. Nobody would be wondering why she doesn't have food delivery. Nobody would be wondering why her people ain't came to see her. Nobody would be wondering all the things. This apartment was on the second floor. Now this little girl legs ain't but this long. And that's with some heels, some thick wooden heels on. They were wrong for that. They put her on a second floor apartment, no elevator, no nothing, and it had 4 steep steps to step into just to get to the first floor apartment. So, but their defense, or the daddy's offense, was she was close to some type of GED center where she could get her GED. She was close to a homeless mission, some kind of soup kitchen, something like that. I was like, sir, did you just, what? Also, she was in walking distance to a grocery store. They looked like your corner liquor store. She was nearby the library, rundown. Everything near her looked rundown, just like it normally does in the hood. But they purposely put her there so that they wouldn't have to worry about her. And when they put her there, they moved to Canada. Now, not only do you move, but you move her away from the only people that she knew and took her cell phone and didn't get the electricity cut on. So she was there for 3 to 4 days, no electricity, no cell phone, living upstairs, no food in the house. Now they was wrong for that. Now the police are called out because they're like, this is abuse towards a disabled person. And that's how they ended up arresting these people, saying, oh, okay, y'all want to act like she's not a minor anymore? Well, y'all getting her check, her disability check, and she has no grocery, no transportation, no cell phone, nothing whatsoever to make life, to even do life. So they arrested them. And this is when the Barnetts start to turn on each other. It's a very long story, but I'm trying to wrap it up. Now they're telling about how this little girl was made to stand in the corner for hours. How they were just treating her so bad she had to go without meals. The mom was mistreating her physically, whooping her, beating her. The rest of them were doing it all mental, but the mom's was a physical abuse. The oldest son that they interviewed, he said that his mom had instructed him to urinate all over her stuff. Just a little backstory. Natalia had a wetting the bed problem, and she would wet the bed or soil herself, and they said they could be out in public, in the vehicles, at home, in the wherever, and she might pee the bed or she might pee herself. So the mom said in order to fix that, she was going to have the oldest boy to pee all over Natalia's stuff. So while he was telling this story, he said that how he felt so bad, but his mom made him believe that he was doing the right thing by urinating all over his adopted sister's stuff. He said he would pee all over her blankets and covers and mattress and floor daily. And that's where she would have to sleep. Can you even imagine? She would have to lay down in that when and if they allowed her to lay down. So after telling all of these unimaginative type situations that they were doing to her, she should have been happy to move. So now as they're nearing the end of the story, Natalia meets some family, some couple that allows her to come and stay with them. They just see her out in the neighborhood. They feel bad for her. They allow her to come stay with them. Of course, she's going to bring that food stamp card with her now. Grocery is high and food is not free. So they said, come on, bring your food stamp card and you can live with us. So the father got notice that he was no longer on the check. Natalia went and had her rep payee changed to this couple that she did not even really know. But she said she would take her chances with them. And seems like they're seeing about her. Meanwhile, the Barnetts are arrested and they turn on each other. So this is where the story mainly just follows just the father. Who represent him. He meets a new woman after he divorces his first wife. This new lady who is stand by your man, his mom. So he goes to court and the judge throws out so much of the evidence or throws out so many things and bars the prosecution from telling the girl's age, bars them from doing so many things that when it all boils down to it, he's found not guilty. Go and check it out. The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. It is very much curious.